There are government files that were never meant to be seen. Documents so disturbing, so unthinkable, that even decades after being uncovered, entire sections remain blacked out. Some describe secret experiments. Some outline staged attacks. Some reveal programs the government denied for years, until the truth finally forced its way into the light. Tonight, we open 4 of the most controversial files ever pulled from the shadows. Throughout the 20th century, thousands of documents were stamped top secret and locked deep inside government archives. Others surfaced only through leaked memos and Freedom of Information Act requests. Together, these files reveal a hidden world. A world of abandoned experiments, covert operations, and plans that were never meant to be questioned. And it begins with a proposal so shocking that even the leaders who wrote it knew it could never become public. In the early 1960s, tension between the United States and Cuba was reaching a dangerous peak. Behind closed doors, high-ranking military officials searched for a way to gain public support for a full-scale invasion. What they came up with was a plan called Operation Northwoods. The proposal outlined a series of staged attacks, not against enemy forces, but against American citizens. Fake hijackings, simulated bombings, planted evidence, manufactured outrage. One proposal suggested blowing up a United States ship in harbor and blaming Cuba. Another suggested staging a commercial airplane crash and creating fictional casualties to provoke public support for war. These ideas weren't scribbled in the margins of a conspiracy notebook. They were typed, formatted, and officially signed by members of the Joint Chiefs of Staff. When President Kennedy's administration reviewed the plan, they rejected it immediately. Operation Northwoods was buried so deeply that for decades, it seemed to vanish entirely. It wasn't until 1997, when Cold War documents were finally declassified, that the public learned how close the operation came to being approved. But even then, entire pages were missing. Large blocks of text were blacked out. And how many other proposals like this were drafted, circulated, and quietly archived? If a plan like Operation Northwoods reached the highest levels of approval, what else was written and buried? During the Cold War, the United States feared falling behind the Soviet Union in every imaginable domain, including the unexplained. So when intelligence suggested the Soviets were studying psychic abilities, the CIA responded with its own secret program, a program known as Project Stargate. The goal was extraordinary: determine whether psychic abilities could be used for intelligence gathering. Participants, called remote viewers, were placed in quiet rooms and asked to mentally see distant locations. One viewer sketched the layout of a Soviet military facility with astonishing accuracy, years before satellite images confirmed the structure. The program ran for more than 20 years. Reports were written, data was cataloged, and quietly, the government continued funding the research. Then suddenly, the program was shut down in the 1990s. The official explanation was simple: psychic intelligence wasn't reliable. But deep in the final summary was a single line that contradicted everything: further exploration is recommended. If the program didn't work, why recommend continuing it? And if it did work, why shut it down? Some believe Project Stargate didn't end at all. It was simply moved deeper underground. Because once you read the files, you realize the government found more than it ever admitted publicly. The Apollo missions generated thousands of hours of audio recordings, conversations, technical logs, and strange background sounds captured in the silence of space. In 2006, NASA made a startling admission. More than 13,000 hours of original Apollo audio had been lost, gone, misplaced, or recorded over. Some of the missing tapes were from Apollo 11, the mission that took humanity to the moon. Former technicians claimed the tapes contained far more than basic radio chatter. They described rhythmic pulses, metallic interference, and odd background noises that didn't match any known equipment. One technician said he heard voices that didn't belong to any member of the Apollo crew. NASA insisted the tapes were overwritten accidentally to save money. But critics argue that no organization loses that much historic material without noticing. The fragments that survived raise more questions. In one clip, an astronaut's voice suddenly cuts out as a metallic hum grows louder. In another, pulsing sounds echo faintly, as though something else is transmitting. Whatever was on those missing tapes may never be known, but their disappearance only adds to the mystery. NELLIS Air Force Base is one of the most secretive military installations in the United States. But according to several whistleblowers, something stranger than aircraft testing was happening there. Reports describe tall, thin, pale figures seen walking inside restricted hangars. Figures with smooth, luminous skin, large, dark eyes, and proportions that seemed almost human, but not quite. Security cameras malfunctioned whenever they were present. Doors locked automatically, and individuals who saw too much were reassigned without explanation. Publicly, the sightings were dismissed. Privately, witnesses remained consistent and unshaken. Some believed the figures were part of an experimental program. Others believed they weren't human at all. The truth remains locked away behind redacted reports and silent archives. Operation Northwoods, Project Stargate, the missing Apollo tapes, the tall whites. Each of these files reveals something unsettling, but together they form a chilling pattern. A pattern of secrecy, deception, and information hidden from the public. This was only the first chapter. Every Friday, another file opens. Another hidden truth surfaces. Another mystery unfolds. If you want to keep exploring the secrets buried in forgotten archives and decades of redacted pages, subscribe and return next week for episode 2.